Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Karen Hardy, and welcome to Flip This Risk podcast, where we interview high achievers about their relationship with risk taking and how it influences their leadership resiliency. You can find out more at flipthisriskpodcast.com. And today, my guest is Sonia Travi Knowles. She is a co-author of the new book, Flip This Risk for Enterprise Security, which is now available on Amazon. Welcome, Sonia.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It's exciting.
I'm excited to have you here. So listen, I'm curious to know, when you heard that the book that you contributed to reached #1 on the Amazon hot new release list and number 71 on the top 100 list in corporate governance, what was your reaction to that?
As a good intelligence analyst, I went to double check the information. I saw it. I'm like, goodness, this is happening. This is real. And it was a full cycle. It was the sensation of completing a cycle. It felt really, really good.
That's amazing. I guess to see the elation on your face when you just speak about it, how much joy it has brought you just to be a part of that experience. So you are one of 8 authors of the book. What is the title of your chapter and what is it all about?
That is a very good question. And right now it goes fully empty and you don't remember anymore. It is global monitoring and response.
Yeah, chapter 6.
I link the importance of knowing facts and correlating historical, political crime rates with risk and the risk that we as organizations and as individuals. It is one of my passions.
That is fantastic. What do you want people to take away from your chapter after they read it? When they put the book down, what is it that you want them to take away from it?
I want people to understand that it's not only the organizational responsibility to provide them with tools to remain safe, but it's also their responsibility as risk owners to research and inform themselves so they reduce their own exposure and the risk that they're going to face, because we're going to face those anywhere and everywhere we go, not only when we travel, but when we decide any of our decisions, yes or no, good or bad. Everything. Awareness is key. That's what I want people to understand, that awareness is important and perception will add to that awareness.
You know, perception is important too, because you have to, when it relates to the global monitoring response, and you talk about the situations you've been in, which is quite fascinating to me. All of your international travel just gives you a whole different perspective and appreciation for being having a perceived awareness, right? Because a lot of people don't have perceived awareness. A lot of times we just travel, right? How can we grow that perceived awareness or cultivate it?
You know, like you said, it took many years of being exposed to this environment since I was a little child. But listening to people asking questions and not being afraid, because my perception, it's not the same as it is yours. And when you listen to someone else's perception, you add into your own environment and you begin to observe things that otherwise you would have not noticed. So I will tell everyone, ask the questions, ask them what they think, ask them what they feel. This is important because sometimes we have this gut instinct, something is not right, but we don't listen to it. We simply keep moving and then we expose ourselves. When you feel it, it's because something is happening. And I think this is fantastic because women, we have that extra sense that makes our perception a little bit wider. And that is because we listen to our gut instinct. And so I tell people that if you feel it, ask the question. Not all questions are good. The only bad thing is when you don't ask the question. When in doubt, call it out. That's what it is.
When in doubt, call it out. I like that. It's funny because even within organizations, sometimes we're hesitant to ask questions because we feel that it's a stupid question or it's an irrelevant question, but you're absolutely right. It's not a bad question because more than likely someone else has that same question. And I love what you wrote on page 61. You said that you were taught as a child on how to be calm, think, prepare, and respond to threats pragmatically. I think the key word there is pragmatically, especially now during the pandemic. There's a lot of nervous energy, right, in the
Yes.
air, and we carry that wherever we go. What can people do to help reduce that level of nervous energy?
Information. Be
Mhm.
informed before you head out there. Be informed before you make a decision. And sometimes in the middle of an emergency, you may not have all of the information. But key component, if people are within that decision-making process, always choose people first. And this is their safety and this is their ability to be well. So that's kind of my order. If people are involved in any decision that I make, I will always think about them. I always mention, and I tell this to everyone, I will never suggest something or advise for a decision if I'm not willing to put my family through it. Because this is how we need to think about our organizations, that they are family too. And it just makes us better connected. And then our decisions are pragmatic, even though it comes from an emotional component, family. Pragmatism and thinking about it with your head, knowing, having information helps increase our ability to think pragmatically.
I love that. And another thing that came up in the book, which I really love that you wrote, was that you actually incorporated stories about how you teaching your own child, your son, about risk, right? And risk tolerance, and how he had to choose between, in 2019, he picked the summer of 2020 to go to Uganda. And, so tell us about that story and how you
This
decided to add that in that chapter, because I think it was a genius ad.
this is something that I do on a day-to-day basis with my eldest child because I want him to have that travel bug. But that travel bug comes with a responsibility. Like I mentioned at the very beginning, is being aware of the risks, become a responsible risk owner, and also have a perception of what's going on beyond the United States. We're very lucky to be here. I'm also an immigrant. And I understand how lucky I am to be here because this is a very safe country if we think about it in just global, from a global perspective. And I want this, my son, to be exposed to and to understand it. And when he comes, he always picks countries that are weird. And I don't mean wrong way, bad way, but it's just a place that not most people will pick to go to. He wants to go to Belize. And I had to research, it's like, okay, what are we gonna do there? And where do you
Yeah.
wanna go? He needs to understand that. And I always bring it to him. Okay, you wanna go there? Tell me why. Explain to me what are the risks that we may encounter. In this specific case, it was eaten by a lion, which he was 10 years old. It was not going to happen. But at least I'm putting in his brain a little seed of being a responsible risk owner and learning, because he goes out there and does research. Research is good
Mhm.
for awareness.
That
So
is
there.
that is excellent. I love that. I love the way the transference of how you manage, the global monitoring response and how you incorporate that in your day-to-day life. And often I say that it's kind of hard to separate the two because both those things are entwined together, and we carry that around with us. And it's, as you can see, very useful in our profession as well. So just back to the project itself, being one of the contributing authors, how did that change? What did that do for you to be a part of the project?
Um, I always had this insecurity of, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to start and finish? I have allergies against starting projects and not finishing them. So if I know I'm not going to be able to finish it, I don't even start it because
Yeah.
I don't eyes, right? And when the opportunity came across and you started guiding us through the process, I felt like somebody was holding my hand and was telling me, you can do this, just keep on going. And it was the staging. Sometimes just stepping back. And I remember I emailed where I wrote to you and I said, I don't think I will be able to do this because This is how I write. I'm a storyteller. And you were like, fantastic, go for it. I felt so empowered by how positive you were through the process, and how empowering and how energizing it was, that for me, I felt an injection. I felt an injection of wanting to go beyond, flip the risk, and perhaps start my own book. Can I do it now? I felt empowered to do that. And so I'm reviewing that possibility. And now I know I can. When I sat down to write that chapter, it's like I was fully focused. I was so focused and entertained. It did not feel like homework. It did not feel like a chore. I felt like I was pouring all of my passion into it. So it was really great.
Well, listen, the fact that you were empowered, that's the biggest, I think, win in the project. The fact that you can be transformed, because some people may underestimate, how intimidating writing can be, and the amount of discipline that goes into writing. But I'm so glad that you crossed the finish line, because everyone who started did not finish. There are those who wish things to happen, and then there are those that make things happen. And you're one of those absolute people that make things happen. So I'm very excited for you. So last question before we go, how important do you think it is to have books like Flip This Risk books out here now?
Yes, we do have the internet. It is fantastic. We can just click the words and it will appear, but you will have a gazillion of options out there. And sometimes it's overwhelming. When I should show you, I have this book by my desk, and I have this book. And the reason for that is because when you read a book, you take notes, and you put little notes in there that allows you to go back. This is why it's important to have a hard print book, because you can be walking, and in my case, I carry on my purse certain books that become kind of like a Bible. And I know that I will find different pieces of information that will allow me to make decisions. When you have women, and not just women, professionals with different perspectives and exposure and experience in one book, and that book can offer you so many perspectives, it becomes powerful. So there goes your answer.
There goes my answer. Listen, Sonia, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join me today on Flip This Risk podcast to talk about your success and being one of the co-authors of the new book, Flip This Risk for Enterprise Security. Again, congratulations, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate this.
And thank you, everyone, for joining me. I'm Dr. Karen Hardy, and I'll catch you next time.